Hey friends, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today I'm going to be showing you Nailpollies' latest collection called Rice to Meet You. This little quad is obviously inspired by sushi, and as a sushi lover, I am so excited to share these. If you don't know, Nailpollies is an indie brand based in California, and she hand sculpts each of these caps. They're made out of polymer clay and resin, and all of her collections are food inspired, so there's a lot of foods and drinks, and they were just so adorable. As usual, I will save more of my thoughts after some comparisons and recreations, but for now, let's just get into the swatches. The first polish in the collection is SUSHI, a-fish-cianado, and this is a warm orange cream inspired by a beloved sushi staple, salmon nigiri, which you can see is the cap. It is so adorable. I feel like this one is picking up a very true orange, but there is a little bit of warmth to it that I think is just so beautiful. I love orange polishes, and I feel like this one is just so perfect for the summertime. This one had a really nice formula as well that was buttery smooth. I just didn't grab enough polish on the first coat, so it was a little bit streaky, but it evened out in just 2 coats. I also really love Nailpollies brush. It's just that perfect rounded paddle that makes it so smooth and easy to apply. Salmon is definitely one of my favorites when it comes to sushi, so this is easily a favorite. Next we have Time for Your Next Tuna-up, and this is obviously inspired by tuna nigiri, so the cap is very similar to the last one. It just has a piece of tuna on top, and it is so freaking cute. And this one is described as being a pink crelly with pink chrome flakes. So even though it's described as a crelly, I personally would say that this is more on the jelly side, but it is extremely pigmented and very even coverage. I was super impressed with the formula on this one because I feel like you can easily wear this in one coat and it just gives it that jelly sandwich kind of look, and it's very squishy, so even after doing 2 coats you're still going to see some nail line, but I personally love it. Next up we have Rice and Shine, and this is an onigiri inspired nail polish that's described as having a medium seaweed green crelly stuffed with tiny blue opalescent flakes. So again, I personally would call this more of a jelly finish. I mean, you can see just how jelly-like it is here on this first coat, where it has that very squishy kind of glassy look to it. And even though it wasn't the most even coverage for me on that first coat, it built up super evenly on 2 coats. As you can see, it looks like I'm kind of struggling because I didn't grab as much polish as I thought on the second coat here, but it's still extremely easy to work with and self-levels so beautifully. You can still make out some nail line after 2 coats here, but I don't think it's necessary to do a third. Maybe you could just use a blurring base. I really love the flakies in this one. And rounding out the collection, we have I'm Soy Over It, and this is a saucy dark brown polish, obviously inspired by soy sauce, that has a splash of reddish gold flakes. I personally couldn't really pick up the red, they just kind of look like golden flakes to me, but I definitely do prefer that because I feel like you could just see them better against the dark base. I would say this is probably more similar to the last polish, where it's kind of that jelly consistency but wasn't super even on the first coat. But you can see how dark of a brown it is, and it's definitely dark enough that when you build it up on 2 coats, it's pretty much gonna look black in most lighting, I would say. I think only in really direct sunlight is when you would see that it's a dark brown polish, but I actually still really love it just because it is so much like soy sauce. And here is the collection worn in 2 coats each. You can kind of see on my pinky there are some lighter spots, so I either went in with like thinner coats than I normally do, or you might just need a 3rd coat for that shade. But either way, I think they still look so great. Maybe not the most cohesive color palette, but I still really love them. So getting into comparisons, for SUSHI a-fish-cianado, I was immediately reminded of Cirque's Arabesque, which is one of their creams and one of my favorite oranges. They're looking a lot more similar to each other here in this clip. In the next clip here, you can see they are super different, where Arabesque is just a lot deeper and even more muted. So I would say it's like the fall version of the same color. I felt like I had something closer in my collection, and then I remembered Orosa's Papaya, which sadly is not around anymore. I mean, this whole brand is not around anymore. And in the bottle, I thought that these were going to be exact dupes, but seeing them on the nail, they actually aren't. Papaya has a lot more warmth to it, where it's a little bit more coral leaning, but they do have that same kind of vibrancy though. Next, for Time for Your Next Tuna-Up, I wanted to see if I could recreate the shade using ILNP's Malibu from the recent watercolor collection. I feel like that one just had a very similar, deep, reddish, hot pink base color. So I decided to do a jelly sandwich with Holo Taco's Cosmic Unicorn Skin, which is filled with iridescent flakes, not chrome, so they kind of have the same vibe. I did also want to show this shade next to a couple of previous Nailpollies pinks. The first one is You're My Jam, and as you can see, this one is a lot warmer, almost like a corally pink. And here it is next to You Mean a Choco-Lot to Me, which is from that same Valentine's Day collection. This one is a little bit darker and more of a red color, and the flakies are also more of a golden iridescent flake as opposed to a chrome, so maybe kind of similar vibes and finishes, but definitely not dupes. Here I'm wearing all of them in 2 coats each, and you can clearly tell them apart. Next, for Rice and Shine, I really wanted to see this next to Cracked Polish's Stem, which just launched. I thought these colors were going to be a lot more similar, but Stem is a lot deeper and maybe more vibrant at the same time, like Nailpollies looks a little bit muted. Stem had a little bit of a crummy formula, so I did try to do a jelly sandwich as well, but it did not work. It was just way too opaque. And lastly, for I'm Soy Over It, I thought that I could try to recreate this one too using Cracked Polish's Chocolate Graham, which is a super deep, rich brown jelly kind of polish. That one is a lot more cool tone though, like it almost has this very gray sort of color to it. And I tried to layer Truly Outrageous over top of that, but it just wasn't really giving that same vibe. So I thought to try to recreate it with some Cirque polishes instead. So I tried using Mahogany jelly as my base and then layered Nectar over that, which is a little golden sort of iridescent micro glitter. But obviously Mahogany is just a lot lighter and even more sheer. I have 3 coats of the Cirque jelly versus 2 of Nailpollies, but I do think Nectar is actually a pretty good dupe to what you see in the Nailpollies shade. So that wraps up my swatches and comparisons for Nailpollies Rice to Meet You collection. As always, I can't wait to hear what you think of this release, especially if you're a sushi lover like I am, because I just am so obsessed with these. I'm a huge fan of salmon and tuna, so the first 2 are definitely some of my favorites, but I was also surprised at how much I love the soy sauce inspired one. It's obviously a little too dark for what I would want to wear this time of year, but just as a polish, I think it is so perfect. But they all are super cute though, so it's hard to choose favorites, but I would love to know what you think. As a reminder, I am an affiliate with Nailpollies, so if you do want to pick any of these up while supporting me and my channel, you can shop them through the link in my description box. I also do have a discount code available if you do want to use that and save some money while you're shopping. As always, a big thank you if you do support me through those things, but even if you don't, it would mean a lot if you could still like the video, especially if you enjoyed my comparisons or recreation attempts. And of course, make sure to let me know any and all thoughts you have down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!